welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobbit's Reading List, and this week we're going to try to read more. I technically don't have an assignment due this week, so I'm really gonna try to read. Shocking, I know. So we're starting this week of reading. That makes it sound like I'm gonna read like all week. I won't. I still have things to do. But I will try to get more done than just finishing one book. But I did finish a book. It's a short story. I wouldn't even say it's a novella. I'm pretty sure it's just a short story. But I did finish it and it was like 30 pages long, so I'm counting it. I had to read The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter for my Gothic Lit class, now that we have finished reading the 5 novels throughout the span of time that the Gothic literature was very popular, 1800s. My teacher wanted us to read more modern Gothic Lit to sort of identify like the tropes that are still there, how it's changed, and so we're going to talk about it tomorrow in class. So I had to read that. The Bloody Chamber is about a girl, she's 17, and she is courted by this marquis who is older. He has already had 3 marriages where his previous wives have all unfortunately died. Just a little suspicious, no? And, you know, he's courting her, and then they do get married, and they go back to his castle, and their wedding night, they do, and then he's called away and told that he has to go to New York for 6 weeks to deal with this, like, work thing. And so he pretty much says, like, you're in charge of the house now, here are all the keys to things. This one, though, unlocks an area of the castle where I don't want you to go. That's my special place. So please don't go there. Well, I mean, she does what any rational person does. She goes there. Yeah. And then this story happens. So that's the first half of the story, I would say. So I won't say anything more about because of spoilers, because I didn't know what I was getting into. Because usually with the other works that we've read, we talk about them in class, so I have a general idea of what's going to happen. We didn't do that. She pretty much just said, like, read this by next class. And so I think the anticipation of, like, what is she gonna find? What is it? That was very exciting. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well written. I thought the pacing was great. I obviously didn't like some of the characters because you're not supposed to. But I did really enjoy it. I gave it 4.5 stars because, yeah, it was just really well done. So if you want like a sort of a quick read, it's taken me a little bit of time. I would say like 4-ish hours just because I'm working in between, but I did finish it. So yeah, that was something. I also started listening to Gay Bored Werewolf, which is wildly different. Gay Bored Werewolf is about this guy, Brian. He was just turned into a werewolf like a 1.5 to 2 years before the story takes place. He's still trying to figure it out. He's still trying to figure out what his life is going to look like. So right now he's just kind of like, he's kind of a slacker. He's just kind of going through the motions while he processes what being a werewolf means. But he meets this other guy, Tyler, who's very much like, he comes across as like a finance bro. He's an entrepreneur and a life coach, and he feels so don't like Tyler. I don't trust him. But Brian's chill. I'm not sure about, because I'm listening to it on an audiobook, I'm not sure about the narrator. I got used to it, but it felt, I only listened to the first 2 chapters, but like he felt very like kind of monotone at times. So, but I am going to keep listening, obviously. I suspect that I may finish it tomorrow night on my way home, just because I only have 4 hours left. I'm listening on 1.3 speed, and I'm gonna be doing a little bit of running around tomorrow. Like, I have to go to class, and then I have to drive to work, but while I'm driving to work, I have to go to, like, I have to go more north than I usually do, because I'm picking up some baked goods for my boss's birthday, and then I'm going to work, and then I'll drive home. So I'll have a little bit more driving time than I usually would. So I may finish it, but I will, if I don't, I will definitely finish it Thursday. So, yay! All right, now I have to eat. Okay, I have finished another book. I'm doing great this week. I'm just jumping in. I listened to Werewolf by Tony Santorella, and it is about this guy, Brian. I may have talked about it before. He was turned into a werewolf, and since then, he's just trying to figure it all out. He ends up meeting this guy, Tyler, who is another werewolf. And Tyler sort of offers to help him manage being a werewolf and gain more control over himself. But throughout the book, Brian, who is very different from Tyler is very much like a, kind of like a finance bro. And Brian is a bored gay werewolf who's a waiter. And Brian realizes, like, Tyler's vision may not line up with his values. And it's an interesting book. I did enjoy it for the most part. I don't recommend the audiobook. The narrator kept, like, it felt like he was reading a line of text and then he would pause and then read the next line, regardless of whether there was a punctuation break. And that was distracting. So I don't necessarily recommend the audiobook, but I think the actual book would be a lot of fun. I did feel for Brian, although at sometimes he was kind of annoying, just because I felt that it was pretty obvious. None of the twists necessarily surprised, well, one of them surprised me, but most of them didn't. So it was fine. You know, it was fine. I gave it a 3.5 star. I will probably keep it just because I just like the title. But yeah, so that was good. I wish I had more to talk about it, but I really don't. Otherwise, all I've done today is, well, I had like a series of appointments. But then I spent a lot of time, well, not a lot of time. Take it back. Once I got home from appointments, the sun is still up, so I went and sat in the backyard for like an hour and read some more of The Tales of St. Austin. I have 5 chapters or 5 stories left, although my dad said that apparently the last like 3 or so are essays, which I was not prepared for. I hope he's wrong, but I don't think he is. So I'm not looking forward to that. I did finish that like very long story, which like, I just don't care. You know, I've talked before about how I need to feel connected to the characters. I'm not one of those people that can just like read a story with like an unlikable main character. I can't do it. And I also just can't read stories I don't care about the main characters. And that's why short stories are really hard for me, because I don't have enough time to connect to them. And so there was this long story about this guy, Charteris. It had to be like 30 pages. And I just did not care about anything at all. Like, and the other stories like are so short, this is not going to get a good rating. But I have 5 chapter stories, essay, whatever they are left. Honestly, I'm hoping I can finish it tonight because I don't have any other plans. So I'm going to do some work stuff real quick and then probably make dinner. And then I will just try to read that the rest of the night. So that way I can just get it done. Dad and I are going to record the podcast on Saturday. And it can just be over. So that's the plan. Yeah, okay, I did. I was like, did I mention what I gave Board Game Werewolf? So hopefully tomorrow morning I will be able to check in and tell you what I rated Tales of St. Austin. But don't expect it to be very high. You guys, I finally finished Tales of St. Austin's. Oh, God. It was bad. That's pretty much what I had to say. So, I think it was last week, or maybe the week before that, I don't remember. But early in the book, which is a collection of short stories and apparently essays by Wodehouse about life at a boys' school. Early on, I think it was like maybe the second and third or third and fourth, those short stories were about a character that I actually really enjoyed named Richard. And I thought they were well-rounded stories. They were fun. They made me laugh. And then that's where the fun stopped. All the other stories were pointless, or they did have a point, but I didn't care about the characters. I really only like Richard for the most part. So, yeah. Oh, and then, yeah, the last 4 chapters, or whatever you want to call them, were essays about, I don't even remember what the first one was about. The second one was about, like, taking notes in a boys' school and, like, how pointless they are or something. And then the third one is about cricket. And then the fourth one was kind of meta. Like, it was presented as, like, a story about a conversation that Wodehouse, presumably Wodehouse, had with this other guy about this, like, debate about a book of short stories about a boys' school and how it may or may not have been written by 2 separate people or something. Yeah, I don't recommend it. I gave it 2 stars, mainly because of Richard. Otherwise, it would have been lower. My dad said that he also gave it 2 stars. So I'm super excited to talk about it tomorrow. Oh, yeesh. The podcast is either going to be very short or very long. Usually the books where, like, we have some things to complain about, those podcasts are longer. But who knows? Other than that, I listened to about an hour of The Familiar. I started the audiobook for that this morning. I didn't listen to it on the way home because I'm very tired, like very, very tired. And it was kind of making me, like, sleepy this morning. But it's about this girl named Lucia. This is a historical fiction novel, so I believe it's taking place during the Inquisition. And Lucia is Jewish, but she keeps that to herself. But she also has some, like, sort of magic that her employer, the family that she works for as a scullion maid, find out and start having her perform her magic for the entertainment of others in order to move up socially. So that's where I am right now. And I don't think that's giving anything away because that's, like, the first, like, 3 or 4 chapters. So I will, obviously continue to listen to that through the weekend. I'll probably finish it sometime next week. But yeah, that's kind of about it. I am about to hop onto my writing date with one of my friends. And I'm hoping maybe tonight or tomorrow I can start reading Insomnia by Stephen King. So that's the plan, but I'm going to eat dinner real quick and, yeah, do other things and put this Wodehouse book behind me. Okay, it's time I wrap up this vlog. Trying to think of the last time I filmed. Okay, I think it was Friday. It's now Monday, obviously. Let me see. I believe I had mentioned something about starting The Familiar. Yeah. So I didn't go to work yesterday. I worked from home, so I didn't listen to more of The Familiar. But I did listen to more on my way to school and back this morning. So I'm at 20% through. Lucia and her abilities have been noticed by people, and she's given opportunity, but it just seems like it's gonna be bad for her. And she's being trained to sort of hone her abilities by this guy whose name I cannot remember at this moment, but he seems to be not human. I don't know what he is. I'm very curious about what he is, but I don't know what he is yet. It's holding my attention a little bit more than it was on Friday, just because I only listened to a couple chapters. So I'm looking forward to listening to more of it, and I will. There's no reason I shouldn't finish it next week, but yeah, it should be interesting. I want to see what happens. You know, I'm very curious. Other than that, we went over to our friend's house Saturday night, so I had started reading Insomnia by Stephen King. I read the prologue, and then while we were at our friend's house, I continued reading because they were watching basketball. So I read about 80 pages of that. It's another book that I'm very curious about. Like, I want to understand. I want to know what's happening. Because, you know, like, both of these books are very intriguing. You know, they don't just like tell you what's gonna happen, you know, and you know something bad is gonna happen, but I want to know what that is, and I hope that it gets resolved. So yeah, while I am a little bummed I didn't finish more books, I think the books I did finish, I'm very glad to have finished. Finally, Tales of St. Austin. But I think, because I finished, what, 2 books? 2? Tales of St. Austin. There was another one. What was the other book I finished? Okay, I had to check. Tales of St. Austin, The Bloody Chamber, and Board Gay Werewolf. 3 books in 1 week. I'm actually very happy with that. And the 2 books I'm reading currently are a little bit bigger, so yeah. I feel like I'm getting my groove back a little bit, and hopefully next week will just be me continuing that groove. So I want to say thank you so much for watching. Leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.